Welcome in to Plead Your Case here on episode 9. I'm Joe Chirillo. I'll be your host for one of the segments and also a contender in one of the mini segments. This episode today is a lot of mini segments to break down a lot that's been going on in the sports world. We're going to open it up here with Tyler Walls talking about the UFC and their move down to Washington, D.C. in front of the Oval Office. We then move into the Pick'em segment with myself and some others to talk about some NFL games and some NBA games coming up in the following week. Then we go back to the 5 and 5 segment for another crowned winner of the 5 and 5 argument, and then we'll finish it all off with the World Series discussion on the Blue Jays and the Dodgers, and if this is truly ruining baseball, all here on Plead Your Case.
Welcome in to Plead Your Case, Waynesburg Community Television's national sports debate show, now expanding outside the realm of the Power 4 sports. All our panelists will expand into the depths of professional sports while speaking on the newest sports topics each week. We're also bringing new mini segments like I Got Something to Say, State of the Union, Pick'em Pools, while even bringing back a popular mini segment, the 5 and 5. Here at PYC, we plan to create debates, create memories, and the best takes possible for you, the viewer. No one is safe. Every opinion, every angle will be challenged and discussed to further detail. So sit back, relax. It's now time to plead your case.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tyler Walls, and today I've got something to say. There is a major event coming up in the UFC with a White House card coming up. It is on June 14th of 2026. Happens to be Donald Trump's birthday. The location of it is the south lawn of the White House, where we could see up to 85,000 people sitting in there, and it is a celebration of America's 250th anniversary. A temporary venue will be constructed. The White House and the monument will be visible from multiple camera angles according to the UFC. The event is a much larger stadium-esque seating area near the octagon and a much larger area on the ellipse for, like I said, up to 85,000 people to watch on screens, with other live music and entertainment available because of how big this event will be. The full week event may also include weigh-ins at the Lincoln Memorial and other fan-related activities across the city. No official fights have been booked yet, but there are many negotiations expected to begin in early 2026, like January. There have been multiple fighters interested in this. They have expressed their desire to be on this card. Conor McGregor has indicated he is interested in fighting on the card, potentially against Michael Chandler. But White has cautioned against expecting his inclusion as he does have a little history. Championship implications. This is major. Alex Pereira has called out heavyweight super fight with John Jones to headline the event. Jones, accepting the call out, has made the decision fall to Dana White. This could be a major event, as we have seen Alex Pereira with that left hook, that left high kick to the head knock out so many opponents. John Jones being the GOAT of the UFC in many people's eyes. This is once in a lifetime fight that we could see on the White House, which is unusual. And then the last fighter to express heavy interest is Colby Covington. So with the UFC moving outside on the White House card, this could open many doors. I personally believe that this is a game changer and is the best thing for the UFC. We could see more revenue bringing in and paying the fighters more, as many have expressed that they're getting paid $50,000 to $100,000 for one fight, and many fighters only see 1 to 2 fights a year, so only being paid $200,000 for risking your life, I don't think is personally worth it. So with this bringing in more revenue, it could change the game for the UFC. We could see them go outside to Abu Dhabi and have a 115,000 person crowd, or even Acrisure Stadium getting up to the 70 or 80,000. This is the best thing, as we've seen WWE do it with WrestleMania, SummerSlam, or the Royal Rumble. In fact, but the weather could implicate this, as I believe it has in WWE with slippery ropes or the slippery mat, because it is either raining or it's so hot outside that they just sweat 10 times more. So when we see grappling or just straight up boxing in the UFC ring, or even when they're on the ground wrestling, we could see the sweat and the mat be 10 times more slippery and cause the wrestlers to have a disadvantage. Thank you for your time on PYC.
Hello everyone and welcome back into Plead Your Case. To my right is Joe Chirillo and to my left is Brayden King. They're going to do a pick'em segment, 3 NFL games, 2 NBA games, and they did a little rock, paper, scissors, see who would go first, and Brayden did win. So Brayden will go first. Brayden, first NFL game, Eagles versus Packers.
All right, so the Eagles-Packers game, it's a Monday night game on ESPN. The Packers, it's their first game without Tucker Kraft. They're missing their number one tight end, and he's their number one target. He's been the leader in receiving yards for them this year. With that being said, I think the loss of Tucker Kraft not being on the roster for this game really going to impact the Packers. I'm taking the Eagles in this one.
Joey?
For myself, the Packers just looked absolutely terrible against the Panthers, and they let them be able to come back with that final field goal win, going 16-13. Getting that loss, they're also one of the only teams to tie in the entire NFL. They just continuously are so unpredictable and not able to really nail it down. I'm taking the Eagles by this one, and honestly, they're going to win by 17 or 20 plus points.
Okay. Very, very strong showing from both of you. That next game up, Jaguars versus Texans.
All right, so C.J. Stroud is questionable with an injury right now. He's had some concussion issues. I don't know if he's playing or not. It's not confirmed as of this moment if he's going to play. If he's out, then, I've got a really good feeling about how the Jags are going to do in this one. I'm taking Jacksonville, but it's going to be close. I've got 17-10.
Okay. Joey?
I was real quick to the cuff on that one myself. I'm also a little bit quick to this one. Like you said, Texans are going to be out with C.J. Stroud if he continues to be on that concussion protocol. Right now, the Texans are vying for that 3-5 record that they have, vying to see if they can get into the playoffs. The Texans are going to need a win here. I'm taking the Texans, whether or not they have Stroud here. I think they're really going to be able to pull together. D'Amico Ryan's going to be able to pull this team together and get them to win this game against Jacksonville.
Very interesting there, Joe. Now, Joe, I'm going to let you get this one. Rams versus 49ers. Go ahead.
The last matchup we had between these two went into an overtime matchup that was for the ages, and it was honestly one of the best games that we've had this season. You've had a lot of ones like Packers and Cowboys, Ravens, and Bills. I think this one is going to be another matchup to look for going into this Week 10 matchup. For this one, the Rams really need this win, and Matt Stafford, I think, is going to come out with Puka Nacua. They're going to be slinging the ball. They're going to be able to get this win. Give me the Rams.
See, Joe, I agree with you. I expect it to be close, but the reason that I do not pick the Rams in this one is because of the lack of receiving help that Matthew Stafford has. He's on one of his best seasons of his NFL career this year, but Puka Nacua right now with that rib injury, I don't know if he's going to play. And if he does not play, then they're out of their number one guy. With that being said, I think the Niners lean on McCaffrey once again this week. I think they get it done, but it's going to be close.
Okay, guys. That's all for the NFL segment. Now moving over to the hardwood, Spurs versus Lakers. Brayden?
Ooh, man. Spurs-Lakers. This is probably one of the best matchups around the Western Conference all season long. We're going to see them 3 times this year. I think this first one is probably going to be one of the best matchups of the season, bar none. Now, Victor Wembanyama is probably one of the best players in the NBA, in my opinion. I think he's carrying his team right now. I think the Spurs are going to take it.
I also have to agree with them on this one. The Spurs are one of the best teams in the NBA, and in my opinion, I think the Spurs are going to be one of the teams to see turning kind of into the Golden State era that they had in the late 2010s. They're going to be that team that's going to constantly be vying for a finals position. The Lakers are out of the Big 2-3. Thank you to Dr. Pepper for representing this in this episode, but they're out with LeBron, and they can't be really doing that much with just Luka around. Give me the Spurs to win this one.
Okay. Joe, your first pick now? 76ers, Cavs.
For this one, it's going to be a very competitive matchup. The 76ers are really trying to find their identity going into this season. They're having a very hard time trying to find what they want to do with this season. But the Cavs have already been able to nail down that mentality and what they want in this season, and they want to go to the finals. I'm going to be taking the Cavs this one. It's just too hard to ignore the Cleveland Cavaliers.
it's not going to be close at all. I have no intention of ever seeing this game being a close matchup. Records aside, this 76ers team, they had to go to overtime to beat the Washington Wizards last week. They have really, really struggled this year. Despite their winning record, I don't think they've played anybody. They're going to face a real team this week. The Cavs are going to blow them out. Give me the Cavs big.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. With only 2 differences, tune in next week to see who won the Pick'em segment. Next up, 5 and 5, where I'll be taking on Stone Manges, and Wyatt Clatterbaugh will host.
I'm working here.
My bad. Welcome back into Plead Your Case, but this time we're doing the 5 and 5 segment. To my left, Stone Manges, and to my right is Cole Keller. Boys, you guys ready to battle it out here?
Let's do it.
You guys know how this game works. You're going to get 5 questions, 30 seconds each. As soon as I hear the stop, that's it. You don't get any extra. They know, the viewers at home, you guys know how this works. So let's just get right into it. So, first question going to you, Cole, is Cam Little set to be the next Brandon Aubrey / Chris Boswell?
I mean, breaking the NFL record in your second year, 68-yard field goal. I mean, what can you beat? I mean, you beat Justin Tucker's 66-yard, and for only 2 years. But I think kicking is an evolving aspect of football. I think we're going to keep seeing kickers kick further and further and further. But I think he's already on pace to be better than any of those names: Brandon Aubrey, Chris Boswell, Justin Tucker. Kicking and football in general is just becoming more of an efficient game, and Cam Little is just going to be the spearhead for that, especially in kicking.
All right. Go ahead.
Yeah, Cole said it. We're entering an age where these kickers are hitting from 55 plus with ease. And if you look at the stats between Chris Boswell and Cam Little through their first 25 NFL games, Cam Little is 40 for 46 with an 87% on his kicks. Chris Boswell, 49 for 56 and an 87.5. Those stats are pretty comparable. And I think that Cam Little, this is a guy that hit 70 plus in preseason, and he has the NFL record for regular season with 68. So, I think he's definitely the future.
Perfect timing there, boys. Good argument, good round. I liked what I heard, like what I saw. All right, moving on, and we're going to be starting with you, Stone. Are the Carolina Panthers a wild card contender?
I think they're a wild card contender, but they're definitely not a contender for the Super Bowl. They lean too heavily on Dowdle, and Bryce Young has only thrown over 200 yards once this season. But if you look at their next 5 games, they've got 3 winnable ones on that schedule. New Orleans, Atlanta, San Francisco, Los Angeles Rams, the bye, and then they play New Orleans again. I think they win 3 of those 5 games. With the bye in there, they get a rest. They are going to make the playoffs, but they're not going to contend for a Super Bowl, in my opinion.
Perfect.
Like Stone said, I'm inclined to agree. I mean, Bryce Young threw for 328 yards in week 2. I think they will make the playoffs. They're second in the NFC South. Big win this previous Sunday over the Packers. And beating the Falcons earlier in the season 30-0 really helps your in-conference case. And I think their downfall right now is just they're too young. Bryce Young's too young, still unproven, and Leggett and McMillan are still too young. And they, like Stone said, they rely too heavily on Dowdle, but they still are strong teams, especially having Chuba Hubbard to back up Dowdle.
All right, stop. Good round, boys. You're making this difficult on me, I'm going to tell you that. But a good battle so far. All right, back to you, Cole. Who is worse, the Browns or the Bengals?
To me, this is easy. The Browns are atrocious. If you have a player get 5 sacks and you still lose that game 32-13, you're trash. You're terrible. And on top of that, the Bengals already did beat the Browns. So they have to be better than the Browns, at least in that aspect. And the Browns' downfall is coaching. I mean, you have all the talent in the world. You have one of the best defensive players in the league, and you can't win a game and you lose by that much. It's just pitiful. Bengals are so much better than the Browns.
I think a better word to use to describe the Cincinnati Bengals is just disappointing. I mean, you come into the season with Joe Burrow. We were expecting them to compete for the playoffs, but that just didn't really happen. The Browns are worse. The Bengals at least have an offense. The Browns have neither. And Myles Garrett, I mean, you could say that he is their defense. He had that 5-sack performance a couple weeks ago. But the Browns, they're in a tough spot right now. So I'm going to say that the Browns are worse. The Bengals are more disappointing.
Good battle, boys. Well, I mean, there's not much else to say. It's been a back and forth. All right, back to you, Stone. Will the Chiefs miss the playoffs?
I think they are. And this answer for me changed about 2 hours ago with the Jaguars trading for Jacoby Myers. They are competing with the Jags, the Chargers, and the Baltimore Ravens, who just got Lamar Jackson back for that final wild card spot. I just don't see the Chiefs making the playoffs this year unless things change offensively. They've been too up and down this season. And like I said, the Ravens, the Chiefs, and the Jags are going to be competing for that. They're sitting at 5-4 right now. Jacksonville is at 5-3. I see the Chargers winning that division, but I don't see them sneaking into the wild card.
I have to totally disagree. To count out Patrick Mahomes as one of the best quarterbacks of all time and say that he won't even make the playoffs is baffling. Has he played great? No. But they still have wins over the Lions and the Ravens, the Lions convincingly. And most of their losses, 27-21 of the Chargers, close game. Eagles 2017, close game. Jaguars 31-28, close game. And then the Bills this Sunday, close game. I think it's totally mind-boggling to count out Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, especially just getting Rashee Rice back. I think they'll find out their rhythm.
Perfect. Right on time. And the last question going to you, Cole. Is the Steelers' defense back, or is it a one-and-done kind of thing?
This is probably a one-and-done kind of thing. I mean, with the hardest part of their schedule coming up and facing juggernauts, basically, and the Ravens getting Lamar back, the Steelers are going to cave in. There's no hope, and I'm not going to blindly put my faith into them and say that, oh, the highest-paid defense is actually going to do their job, because they're not. They're too arrogant, and that is the problem. Their arrogance bites them several times, and especially during the season. We've seen it several different games where that arrogance has came back and caused them to lose those games, those very close ones.
I wouldn't say that this is a one-and-done kind of deal for the Steelers. They take on the Chargers next week, who have an injury-riddled offensive line. They just lost Joe Alt, the star offensive tackle for the season. And if you look at that game against the Colts last week, there were areas where the Steelers defense really did very well. Against the powerful running back, Jonathan Taylor, they did a really good job of shutting him down. But the secondary was my big thing. Did they make Daniel Jones see ghosts? I don't really think so. I think Daniel Jones just kind of reverted to his New York Giants version of himself. But like I said, I don't think this is a one-and-done kind of thing. It's going to be something that you have to look for after the Chargers.
Time. All right. Good battle, boys. That was a really good fight. It was 3-2, and the winner of this battle is Stone Manges. I'm going to go over my reasonings. So question one was, is Cam Little to be the next Brandon Aubrey or Chris Boswell? I gave that to Cole. I liked Cole's topic about it. You see a lot of kickers nowadays. They're kicking from 60 plus. They're kicking from 50 plus. So I liked some of his topics. I like what you said too. Liked his just a little bit more. Going to question two, are the Carolina Panthers a wild card contender? I gave that to you, Stone. I liked your talk about it. I like how you talked about the fact that the team is young, but I liked how you talked about the rest of their schedule and who they have left to play, and the fact that the young talent is standing out. So that's why I gave it in favor to you. Question three. Now this one was a little bit different because I didn't know exactly which way to go. I ended up giving that one to Cole for that one. I agree. Browns are not going anywhere anytime soon. Sorry, Luka and Drusik, but they are just not going anywhere at any point. And I liked your thought process as well, but I had to give it to Cole. Will the Chiefs miss the playoffs? Now this one I gave to you as well. So will the Chiefs miss the playoffs? I gave it to you. I liked your reasoning behind it. I liked that how you talked about that even though it's been close games, it's been bad. And is the Steelers defense back, or is it a one-and-done deal? I gave it to Cole, but unfortunately you edged it out. So Stone Manges gets the win over Cole Keller right here on Plead Your Case. That's going to do it for the 5 and 5 segment, but don't go anywhere. Myself, Stone Manges, and Joe Chirillo will be right back with the World Series segment right here on Plead Your Case.
Welcome into the World Series discussion here on Plead Your Case. I'm Joe Chirillo, your host for today's segment. In this one, we're going to be getting down into the Blue Jays and the Dodgers. The winner of this one was the Dodgers in a 4-3 segment. It went to Game 7. That went to 11 total innings. 5-4 was your end. And this was the most watched Game 7 and playoff performance since 2017 in the MLB. Now, a lot of people have been talking about if this is going to ruin baseball. We'll get all into it here on Plead Your Case. As I said, Joe Chirillo joined on the desk by Wyatt Clatterbaugh and Stone Manges here. We're going to be breaking it down, and the big stuff to get right into it is just Game 7, 11 innings. We had a game that went to 18 total innings. Stone, just break it down for me. Your rant real quick about the World Series. What did you love? What did you hate? And what did you really want to talk about here right now?
Overall, I thought this World Series was just so incredibly exciting. I think personally that this is the most exciting World Series since the Cubs and the Indians in 2016 when the Cubs broke their 100-plus year streak of not winning the World Series. I mean, it went to 7 games. As you said, that it was the most watched Game 7 in over 5 years. They had go-ahead tying home runs all across the board. Constant momentum swings throughout the entire series. LA went up 1-0, 2-1. Then Toronto took the 3-2 lead, but Los Angeles ultimately won it in Game 7. And this felt like a Super Bowl week, all week long. There were constant, exciting moments throughout the series. I mean, the 18-game marathon in Game 3. There was so much to love about this series. What wasn't to love was the fact that the Dodgers won. I was pulling for the Blue Jays. But, I mean, it was a great series. As a baseball fan, I love to watch it, and just speechless, ultimately.
Yeah, I think we all loved the World Series. We all loved watching it. Unfortunately, like you said, wish it could have ended a little bit differently, but the Dodgers won 5-4 in 11 innings to win their 2nd consecutive World Series and their 9th in franchise history. That just goes to show the kind of team they have. But the Blue Jays should not be ashamed of the performance that they put on in this World Series Game 7. As Stone mentioned, we had an 18-inning game. We had the Game 7 went to 11 innings. Now, obviously, didn't go the Blue Jays' way, but still just a great amount of pitching, great amount of hitting on both sides. We're going to get into that in a little bit later, but it's everything you wanted in a baseball game. It's everything you wanted in a series. It's everything you just wanted in a championship series overall, and it was a lot of fun to watch. Wish the outcome was different, but still a great, great game and a great series to watch.
Now, I disagree with both of you. I think that this thing of the MLB was just atrocious to see because mainly this is now feeding into the hands of the MLB. This is exactly what they want. They want for fans to say, oh, I had an amazing time watching this and watching the Dodgers win. Guess what? I didn't, because you know what that means? The Dodgers are going to continue to pay people as much as they want whenever they want. And then it's just going to become the Dodgers show. I don't want to see that. I hate seeing that. I want baseball to get back to what it was, where I don't know who's going to show up and win this World Series next season. I want to know that no one's going to be in contention for it and that it's a free game. And in this case, this continued to show that baseball is going towards a completely disastrous track. And I am not looking forward to this. I agree with you guys in the fact that it was a lot of fun, but I'm not here for fun. I want to see baseball continue on and the rest of its history. So in total, that's mainly where you just got to look at it and go, what are we doing? Why are we rooting for the Dodgers? I wanted the Blue Jays to win, just that way we could say, hey, Dodgers, guess what? We don't need to pay $300 million to go and do this. And so that's just my piece on it. But the biggest thing is when you look at the players, each individual player on both of these teams played incredible games. You had guys that came into it basically doing nothing the entire of the World Series, like Bo Bichette, and then you had guys that were basically carrying the entire team with Yamamoto and Ohtani. Ohtani didn't do great in that Game 7. They really capitalized on that with a 3-run home run. Why? Just tear it down for me on what players you think really made the difference in these games, especially into Game 6 and Game 7.
Yeah, I think the first person we got to look at is World Series MVP Yoshinobu Yamamoto. He was 5-1, had a 1.45 ERA, 33 strikeouts, and a .78 WHIP, both as a starter and in the bullpen. Doesn't make a lot of sense, and it's crazy how he had this much success both on the mound as a starter and as a relief pitcher. Shohei Ohtani, we talked about it, was still kind of dominant, batting .333, had a on-base percentage of about .500, 3 doubles, 3 home runs. Still wasn't as dominant. Pitching side of things had a 4.43 ERA, 28 strikeouts. Bo Bichette, in and out of the lineup, didn't do a whole lot. Vlad Guerrero Jr. probably would have won MVP for this Blue Jays team had the Blue Jays won, batting .415, 27 hits, 8 home runs, 15 RBIs, and 17 runs. Some of those players, Freddie Freeman had that big walk-off home run in that 18-inning Game 3. Just some of those notable players. Mookie Betts was in and out of the lineup as well. So just those were the main players that stuck out to me.
Well, I think that you said that Vlad Guerrero would have won MVP if the Blue Jays had won.
Yeah.
I'm giving that to Ernie Clement.
I completely agree
Clement,
with you.
his hitting streak, that was a thing of beauty. 12-game hitting streak, the longest in postseason history for the Blue Jays. He did great throughout not just the World Series, but the entire postseason. Ernie Clement, he had 12 hits, 2 doubles. He had a batting average of .387. I would have given it to Clement. Ultimately, the Blue Jays didn't win. But circling back to Yamamoto, I'm actually going to pose a question to you two. Where does Yoshinobu Yamamoto's performance in this World Series size up against Madison Bumgarner's legendary performance in the 2014 World Series for the San Francisco Giants?
Please go ahead. You answer on this one first.
I was going to say, Madison Bumgarner, he was one of the most dominant pitchers of his time in his era. What he did in that Game 7 in 2014 was something special, but he didn't come out of the bullpen like Yoshinobu Yamamoto did. He didn't come out and pitch in relief like he did. The fact that Yamamoto came in multiple times during the series and was able to pitch in relief for this Dodgers team to really keep them in this series was something that was spectacular and something you don't often see in baseball unless it's in the playoffs. But no disrespect to Madison Bumgarner, but I do think Yoshinobu Yamamoto, from a bullpen perspective, did slightly better than Madison Bumgarner.
I'm going to pose this question. Why do you think the Dodgers are spending this much money on their bullpen? You got Blake Snell, Glasnow, Yamamoto, Ohtani, and they're so worried because of what happened with Bumgarner back in those 2014 days. In this case, you can't give it to Yamamoto. Sure, he came out of the bullpen. Oh, great job. Everyone does. It happened multiple times this entire playoff series that we had going on. It happened with the Mariners. It happened with the Tigers. It happened with every team that's happened in this playoff era. So I really look at it where Madison just continued to show, I don't need no bullpen. I don't need it. I can do it on my own. And guess what? That's exactly what he did.
I just think it's a conversation worth having because this guy pitched a complete game in Game 2. And then you have the 18-inning marathon where this guy, after throwing 96 pitches in a complete game, was warming up to go out into the game. He didn't get in. But the fact that this guy was willing to sacrifice his body to go back out there in a Game 3, which was it was decisive. Whoever was going to win that game was going to win the World Series because that momentum swing was huge for the Dodgers. The fact that he was willing to go back out there, it just says what kind of guy he is. And in the World Series, this guy had a 1.02 ERA, 15 strikeouts. He only allowed 10 hits, 2 walks in 17 2/3 innings. I mean, he's the first pitcher since Randy Johnson in 2001 to win 3 games in 1 World Series. This guy is a stud, and we're going to see him continue to be a stud for a long time. But I do agree with what you're saying. There are a lot of guys in this Dodgers team that can throw the ball well. And Mad Bum, I mean, he was the San Francisco Giants.
I think that is going to be the reason why the Dodgers are going to have a very hard time and why baseball is going to have a very hard time going into its future is because of Yamamoto's performance. Now you have guys with both Hernandezes on the Dodgers, Muncy and Rojas, all looking for contracts coming into this free agency season. Then you're also going to have guys like Snell and Glasnow that are going to be like, hey, I won this game too. I won the World Series. I helped you win it. I want more money. Why are you giving it to just Yamamoto? Because he's MVP? Because he did all this and that? Well, I came out of the bullpen too. It's going to cause a lot of problems. And Dave Roberts doesn't really seem to care. And that's one of the biggest things is that this Dodgers team doesn't really seem to care about what they're doing to the heart of baseball, especially guys like Freddie Freeman, who we all would cherish when in our childhood growing up in his 12 years at the Braves, now with his 4 here with the Dodgers. It's really starting to show some concern to me about what this is going to lead when the CBA's up in 2027. What are your guys' predictions going into this offseason? What are you guys looking forward to in the offseason and then looking ahead into this upcoming season for 2026? Are the Dodgers going to be back in it? Are they back in the conversation? Are the Blue Jays maybe going to make another stretch to the World Series? What are your originating thoughts on this, Stone? Let's start with you.
Well, I think that you can't blame the Dodgers here. I think that you have to blame Major League Baseball for for this situation that has arisen. You have to do something about this salary cap, whether it's a minimum, whether it's a max. You start somewhere, and maybe you end up with both of those, a max and a minimum. But they need to figure this out. In my opinion, there's not going to be baseball in 2027. And as a baseball fan, it's really hard for me to say that. But you can't blame the Dodgers. You have to blame Major League Baseball.
I agree with you 100%, Stone. I think a salary cap, as you said, ceiling and floor needs to be set in Major League Baseball if they want things to change and not turn into what Stone was saying, where we won't have baseball in the next upcoming seasons. I think the Blue Jays, they will be around for a while. They just gave Vladimir Guerrero Jr. all that money, 14-year deal. They traded for Andres Jimenez, whose contract was a 7-year deal with the Guardians. They traded for him. Now they're taking on the rest of his deal. You got Kevin Gausman there for a little while. He's not going anywhere. So Alejandro Kirk's not really going anywhere. Bo Bichette's kind of up in the air. George Springer's still got a little bit of time left on his contract. So they still have these pieces. I think it's all about their pitching. Where are they going to go with that? As for the Dodgers, I think the Dodgers are going to continue to add on to this team. Shota Imanaga is one of the players that comes to mind. He took the free agent deal. Kyle Tucker's a free agent. Pete Alonso's a free agent. I could see them going a multitude of different directions. And it's like you both said, it's just really sad to see that the Dodgers are starting to kind of ruin baseball in that aspect.
As you said, the Dodgers are looking to ruin baseball. Dave Roberts has said it multiple times that he doesn't care, and then he's willing to ruin baseball. What are your guys' originating thoughts on this? And just maybe simply yes or no. Are the Dodgers ruining baseball?
Again, I'm not going to say that it's the Dodgers that are ruining baseball. It's more that the Major League has this issue that they're allowing the Dodgers to go out and get all these players and have payrolls that are pushing $1 billion. I mean, that just can't happen. The 3 other major sports leagues in the United States of America have salary caps. Why does baseball not have that? Why? It makes no sense. It makes no sense.
I'm going to disagree with you on that. I think the Dodgers are completely ruining it. They've been in the World Series the past 2 years. They pretty much make the World Series almost every couple of years. It seems like 1 or 2 years they're not in it, and then boom, they're in it right again. I think the Dodgers are going to continue to just keep building contracts. I think they're going to continue to give people contracts that are blown out of proportion. And it's going to get to a point where baseball's got to make a choice. Do they keep the Dodgers doing what they do and they just don't put a salary cap, or do they make a salary cap? Because like you said, baseball probably won't exist in the next couple of years, and it's going to be really sad to see. But I agree 100%. Dodgers are ruining baseball. I don't want to see them in the World Series for the next couple of years, but it's looking like it might be a reoccurring trend for years to come.
Well, my question to you is, what do you expect the players to do? To just not play? Like, I mean, obviously there's a problem in Major League Baseball, but the Dodgers are still going to go out there and they're going to play baseball because ultimately it's a competition and you want to go out and win, right? I mean, you can't blame the Dodgers for trying to win. You have to blame Major League Baseball and the commissioner for allowing this to happen. I mean, they found a loophole. Credit to them. You got to, if you're Major League Baseball, you got to go out and you got to fix this problem. It's something I'm really passionate about, and they got to fix it.
We will see if they do indeed try to fix it. The CBA comes up in 2027. Of course, we will be here to talk about it on Plead Your Case. That's probably going to do it all for baseball for just a little bit while here on Plead Your Case. Make sure to stay tuned for more Waynesburg content right here on our YouTube page. That's going to do it all for Plead Your Case. Thank you all very much for tuning in here on PYC.